The Philippine Public Safety College and the Seidel Foundation, Germany, have been staunch allies in the promotion of the continuous training and education of the officers and personnel of the Philippine National Police since 2014. Time and again, we have proven that the effectiveness of this partnership with the joint implementation of the programs to conduct the rights-based and community-oriented policing training activities, adopting the best practices observed from police delegation visits and meetings with the counterparts in the Bavarian police, particularly in the use of practical, case-based scenarios in the police training. Likewise, we advocated to the strengthening of the rule of law and democratic processes, fostering a national police that is responsive to citizens' needs and with respect to human rights. With this, it is envisioned that practical education and training for police officers in terms of lawfulness, independent discretionary decisions, and communication will be implemented consistently among our different constitutive units, particularly the National Police College or NPC. In this regard, this training video is another measure to ensure the continuity of our efforts despite the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. This video also complements our trainings and seminars, and you can rest assured that even with the blended learning modality that we are implementing, our training remains standardized and modular in nature, progressing from simple to complex scenarios based on the increasing skills and comprehension of the police trainees in the course of this undertaking. I hope that our officers can apply what they will learn in these modules as they demonstrate knowledge of the applicable laws and legal basis for their actions, including how they physically react and verbally respond to different scenarios. And each scenario is well crafted, and teaching this goes through the processes of the instructions. More than ever, we need more officers who possess the right blend of knowledge, skills, attitude, and behavior in dealing with difficult predicaments. Verbal and non-verbal communication is crucial, especially in dealing with these conflicts. We continue to invest in our police officers, and in this light, I would like to thank the Seidel Foundation Germany for their relentless efforts and cooperation.
The Seidel Foundation congratulates the Philippine Public Safety College for being our active partner to promote police training and overall professionalism and competence of police instructors given the challenges in policing in the 21st century. We take pride in our joint efforts to promote police training using practical, case-based scenarios, incorporating the best practices observed by police delegations who visited and met with their counterparts at the Bavarian Police Academy. Admittedly, there is no cut-and-paste approach where what training practices the Philippine delegation observed in their visits can be transferred wholly to local training conditions. Local training managers, directors, faculty, and instructors may only adopt what is relevant and implement these according to local laws, culture, and conditions. These videos are by no means all there is to comprise the training activity, which is to be supplemented by lectures, interactive discussions, practical exercises, and other reference materials. It is envisioned that trainers will find this material useful in the conduct of their training activities, both as learning and discussion tools. The resulting videos may also be shared and viewed online, either for instruction or reference purposes. Again, our thanks to the men and women of the Philippine Public Safety College in our joint efforts to expand police instructors' knowledge and skills in training our present and future police officers.
Since 2014, The Philippine Public Safety College and the Seidel Foundation has jointly implemented a program to promote training of Philippine National Police, training directors, instructors, and other officers to conduct rights-based and community-oriented policing training activities, adapting best practices observed from police delegation visits and meeting with their counterparts in the Bavarian police, particularly in the use of practical, case-based scenarios in police training. The PPSC is the premier educational institution tasked for the training, human resource development, and continuing education of all personnel of the Philippine National Police. The HSF's overall country program aims to contribute to the strengthening of the rule of law, democratic processes and institutions in the Philippines, leading towards fostering a national police that is responsive to citizens' needs, respects human rights, and is integrated in society. HSF supported the PPSC's advocating the PNP's training officers use practical, case-based, and rights-based entry-level, advanced, and senior police officer training. With these, it is envisioned that practical education and training for police officers in terms of lawfulness, independent discretionary decisions, and communication will be implemented consistently by various education and training centers for rights-based, community-oriented police services. The HSF has arranged for PPSC and PNP training directors, faculty, and instructors to visit and meet with their counterparts at the Bavarian Police Academy or BPA in Eichstätt, Bavaria, Germany. Among the best practices observed by the visiting police delegation was the BPA's use of practical, case-based scenarios in police training. The training is standardized and modular in nature, progressing from simple to complex scenarios based on increasing skills and comprehension of the police trainees in the course of their training. Each scenario is well crafted, and teaching this goes through the processes of the instructors. 1. Planning. Determining what the learning objectives are based on the capabilities of the students. 2. Preparation. What reference materials need to be available? What non-expensive or readily equipment and materials need to be provided for realism or to approximate real-life situations? What specific instructions, guidance need to be given to role players who will test the analytical, reactive skills of the students confronted with the situation, etc. Implementation. Where will the scenario be played? What will be the role of the instructors and other players? What time and motion controls are required, etc. And 4. Review or evaluation. At the end of the exercise, a conduct of a short review. How the students performed, what questions to ask, and how to ascertain by their answers that the students met the learning objectives, among others. Moreover, integrated in the training scenario are elements of policing espoused by the Bavarian police, which provides that for any police action, the following elements must always be present, namely, the police officers demonstrate knowledge of the applicable laws and legal basis for their action, including how they physically react and verbally respond to the situation which may involve a hostile threat to the responders or civilians in the area. The police officers demonstrate proficiency in skills in A. Quickly mentally analyzing and crafting a solution to the problem posed by the situation, and B. Physically restraining or securing the suspect or victim, potential or otherwise, only with the use of proportionate force and at all times securing the safety of the responding police officers. Police officers only apply legally permissible preventive measures in restraining suspects, never unjustified repressive actions. The police officers demonstrate the proper attitude and behavior towards the suspects, exercising both non-verbal and verbal communication skills to de-escalate the conflict between the parties involved and possible lower the levels of hostility and aggressiveness on the part of the suspect, resulting to lesser force required to subdue the latter. Under the partnership between the PPSC and the HSF from 2015 through 2020, several training activities were conducted for training directors, faculty, and instructors of the PPSC's National Police Training Institute, which has management oversight for regional training centers throughout the country, and to a lesser extent, for faculty and instructors at the PPSC's National Police College. Included among the products of the partnership are the development of 3 editions of the PPSC's Manuals on Teaching using practical, case-based methods. Training activities were conducted for regional training officials and faculty for the Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao regions. Originally, the participants were asked to develop cases, then present how they will teach such a case. Initially, most cases focused on the tactical aspects and less on the analytical and communications-related aspects. PPSC and HSF officials, together with the core group, composed of PPSC and PNP training officials exposed to the Bavarian police training philosophy, developed training materials for eventual use by the instructors. Towards the latter part of the program, the core group members served as resource persons and lecturers for training activities conducted for new batches of the training center's faculty and police instructors, especially with the passage of Republic Act 11279, which transferred administration of the NPTI and its RTCs from the PPSC to the PNP. Changes in the PNP organization, including retirement and promotion of police officials, has resulted to new police training directors, faculty, and instructors assigned to the RTCs. How the PPSCs adapted its observed best practices in training and the training philosophy of the Bavarian police was also disseminated to counterpart training institutions in Indonesia, Cambodia, Malaysia, Myanmar, Thailand, and Vietnam by the HSF. Aside from conduct of basic police training, adjustments in Philippine police training to counter the emerging threats of transnational crime, particularly cyber and cyber-related crime, were also shared. These included online conferences.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning, sir.
Nagpakuha na ako ng kape.
Sir, ito po yung kape niyo, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Napagkasunduan natin na bumuo ng case-based scenario na may kaugnayan sa isang suspect na pinaghihinalaang drug pusher. Napag-usapan na natin to ng ating mga nakaraang klase at ngayon malalaman natin kung may natutunan ba ang ating mga trainees sa tamang proseso ng pag-aresto.
Ang pag-aresto hindi naman kailangan na maging tactical lang o physical na galaw. Nais din natin nga isama ang dahilan kung bakit kinakailangan na maging ganun ang kanilang aksyon nang hindi nalalabag ang karapatan ng mga suspect. Tandaan nyo, na sa pag-aresto, may mga preventive measures na sinusunod ang mga pulis.
However, these are never unjustifiably repressive in nature.
So we remember the three elements. The trainees will have to demonstrate that they know the police operational procedures, practice personal safety, and to de-escalate the situation. Based on our instructions to the role players, the scenario is composed with our subjects, combined subjects, including tactical positioning and even conducting an arrest, which is instructed by our tactical officers. Let's not forget how the trainees used their communication skills. I repeat, communication skills is very important when it comes to arresting a suspect, whatever situation it might be.
Sa gagawin nating case-based scenario, sa halip na ang suspect lang, bakit hindi tayo magdagdag ng mga tao? Ang iba may warrant of arrest. At subukan din natin ang tactical skills ng ating mga trainees sa pamamagitan ng pagkakaroon ng unlicensed firearms. At pwede rin tayo magdagdag ng mga sibilyan.
Maaari talaga tayong magkaroon ng ilang pagkakaiba-iba. Ngunit sa kasalukuyang pagkasanay ng ating mga trainees, huwag nating hayaang maging komplikado ang sitwasyong ito at ma-over-challenge ang ating mga sarili. Pwede na siguro isang suspect sa ngayon.
So let's do this by step. First, ang information references. We must have the access, a copy of police operational procedures. Ang unang chapter, chapter 13, refers to the conduct of arrest at ang iba pang mga chapters naman ay para sa use of force.
Pero para lang makasigurado tayo, kailangan magkaroon tayo ng kopya ng Republic Act 9165 o the Dangerous Drugs Act of 2002. Subukan natin yung mga trainees na makakita ng illegal substance na walang warrant. Kumuha tayo ng potassium crystals o tawas na halimbawa bilang methamphetamine hydrochloride. Kasi sa aking palagay, mas makikilala nila yun bilang shabu. Kasi makakalimutan nila yung pangalan ng chemical.
Idokumento natin ang proseso sa paggawa ng kaso nang sa ganun meron tayong magamit na material sa ating mga susunod na klase.
Matanong ko lang, ano pa ba mga kailangan natin para sa pagpapagawa natin ng case-based scenario? Mga materyales, no? Ano pa ba kailangan natin? Kasi kung tatanungin niyo ako, kailangan natin ng kwarto para sa senaryo. At syempre, mas mabuti na magkaroon tayo ng mock police ridge at training pistol. Isama mo na rin ang Miranda warning card.
Sa madaling salita, meron tayong dalawang trainees na fast forward na tutungo sa kinaroroonan ng suspect. Let's have the scenario as they enter the room where the suspect is staying.
Maaari tayong gumamit ng mga hindi ginagamit na kasangkapan bilang props. At inisip ko rin na maglagay ng mesa para sa suspect at mga plastic bottles para gawing bote ng beer. Sa gagawin nating senaryo, ikaw ang unang magdedirekta sa mga trainees, sa mga pusher. At sabihin mo lang sa kanila na sa tingin mo na nasa loob siya ng kwarto mag-isa. Wala kang ibang alam na detalye at hindi ka sigurado sa iyong sagot kung magtatanong tulad ng armado ba siya? Ano ang estado ng kanyang pag-iisip? Kikilos ka ng takot at pipilitin mong umalis at hindi mo na kailangan samahan ng dalawang trainees kapag naaresto na nila ang suspect.
Ikaw naman ang hinihinala nagtutulak ng droga na si Mandy Labo. Sa pagdating ng mga suspect, ikaw ay kikilos ng agresibo. Kikilos ka na parang balisa at emosyonal. Manatili ka lamang dyan sa pwesto mo, pero kung sasabihin sa'yo na lumayo ka sa mga walang laman ng bote ng beer, susunod ka. Ayon sa ating senaryo, hindi ka magbibigay ng sagot kapag tinanong kung may ibang tao sa silid o magboboluntaryo ng anumang impormasyon. Sa tabi mo ay isang malinaw na plastic bag ng methamphetamine hydrochloride na sinasabi mong hindi sa iyo at wala kang ideya kung sino ang nag-iwan nito dito. Pagkatapos tumingin sa paligid, maaari ka nang arestuhin ng mga trainees pero aalma ka sa kanilang pag-aresto kasi wala silang search warrant. At yung hinihinalang droga ay hindi pa sa'yo.
Ayon sa senaryo, magiging agresibo ka at parang sasabihin mong gusto mong gumawa ng marahas na aksyon laban sa dalawang trainee. Ngunit walang agresibong paggalaw. Ang iyong mga susunod na aksyon ay nakasalalay sa tugon ng trainees. Kung sasabihin nila sa'yo na batay sa kanilang nakikita, may makatuwirang batayan para arestuhin ka. Ang mga pinag-iinalaang droga na ilegal na pag-aari lamang ay bumubuo ng isang krimen. Bukod sa iba pa, ikaw ay tatayo at susunod sa kanilang mga direksyon na nagpapahintulot sa iyong sarili na arestuhin.
Attention, Patrol Team Alpha. Attention, Patrol Team Alpha.
Yes, sir.
Oo, tumuloy sa lugar ng suspect na si Mandy Labo. Meron siyang isang warrant sa pag-aresto sa kanyang pagkakasangkot sa kasong robbery with violence against person. At siya ay kasalukuyang nanunuluyan sa nasabing lokasyon. At isa pa, yung asset natin nandyan lang, dyan sa room 811. Nag-aabang lang siya dyan.
Roger, sir. Will comply.
Mga sir, nandyan din ata si Mandilabo. Nakita ko po siyang pumasok na may mga dalang bote ng beer.
Sigurado ka ba? Ano pang impormasyon na magbibigay mo tungkol sa akin? Sa tingin mo, armado ba siya? May kasama ba siya?
Ay, hindi ako sigurado sir. Pinadala lang po ako dito para magbigay ng impormasyon kung nasa siya. Wala na po akong mga. Alis na po ako sir.
Sige, ito ba?
Mr. Labo, ikaw ba si Mr. Armando o si Mandy Labo? Inutusan kami mga pulis para bigyan ka ng warrant of arrest para sa armadong pagnanakaw. Hinihiling namin sa'yo na sumunod ka sa lahat ng aming mga direksyon, manatiling tahimik, at huwag gumawa ng kahit anong aksyon. Maaari kaming gumamit ng puwersa laban sa'yo kung ikaw ay lalabas. Ngayon, may iba pa bang tao dito sa loob ng kwarto bukod sa'yo?
Mr. Labo, kung pwede sana lumayo ka sa mga bote ng beer. Gusto ko sana tumayo ka dito sa may pader. Sige, tayo. At wag na wag mong gagalawin yung bag na yon.
Oo, ako si Mandy Labo. Pero yung bag na yan, hindi sa akin yan. Hindi ko alam ba't nasa lamesa yan eh. Tsaka, wala kayong pwede basta sa kwarto ko tapos passing yan Ipakita nyo muna yung warrant arrest nyo. Dahil kung wala kayo mapakita, umalis na kayo dito.
Teka. Isang warrant ang ipapakita namin sa'yo pagdating sa pulisya kung saan ka namin ihahatid. Ngayon, uulitin ko huwag kang manlaban dahil otorisado kaming gumamit ng puwersa laban sa'yo. Malinaw?
Sa pag-aresto namin sa'yo, dahil sa warrant na nalabas, itong ebidensya na to, ay magiging dahilan para hulihin ka rin namin dahil kailangan naming i-verify to sa PNP Crime Laboratories. Ito ay batay sa RA 9165, mas kilala sa tawag na Dangerous Drug Act 2002. Ngayon, poposasan ka namin.
Teka lang.
At pwede ka namin kapkapan, hanapan ng droga kung meron man, pati armas.
Mr. Labo, harap sa pader. Harap sa pader. Sumunod ka na lang sa amin. Taas ang kamay. Taas ang kamay. Procedure lang to. Procedure. Harap. Harap lang dyan. Huwag kang titingin sa akin. Huwag kang titingin sa akin, ha? Buka mo yung hintiyags mo. Buka mo. Kakapkapan kita. Procedure lang to. Yung kamay mo, akin na. Lagyan mo sa likod. Procedure lang to. Huwag kang kikilos ng masama. Tandaan, otorisado kaming gumamit ng dahas laban sa'yo. Okay? Kasasabi ko lang. Halika dito. Upo. Diyan ka. Upo. Bali.
Babasahan kita ng Miranda rights, ha? Dinadakip ka sa krimen na armed robbery at possession of illegal drugs. May karapatan kang hindi magsalita. Anumang sabihin mo ay maaaring gamitin laban sa iyo sa lahat ng korte sa Pilipinas. May karapatan kang pumili ng sarili mong abogado.
Okay na. Tapos na ating first case scenario.
Okay, thank you for the exercise. Clearly, you demonstrated the things that you learned in our lectures. Physical and safety protocols na tinuro ng inyong tactical officers. I have some comments in your performance. When you approach, both of you, I noticed that you are focused on the suspect and approach him in a straight line, one behind the other. What could have you done differently to ensure your safety?
Sir, one of us could have visually searched for the entire room should there be another person concealed. And maybe we could have approached the suspect in a different angle so there will be no overlapping field of fire if we had to use our weapon.
Why did you ask the suspect to move away from the empty bottles of beer?
Para na po yun, sir, sa aming kaligtasan. Bagamat wala man siyang hawak na baril o kahit anumang nakamamatay na sandata, pwede pa rin po niyang gamitin yung bote ng beer bilang kanyang armas.
So, do you have the right to enter his dwelling without his permission? Isn't that a violation of his right to privacy?
We entered this dwelling on the strength of arresting him based on the issued warrant. While he may claim that his right to security of abode was violated, our action was proportionate to the situation as law enforcement officers complying with the court order to arrest him. Handcuffing, according to police procedures, is a preventive, not a repressive action and ensures the safety of the arresting police officers.
How can you arrest him without a warrant of arrest in your possession?
Even without the possession of a warrant at the time of arrest, we can still arrest him per police procedure. However, the subject must be presented with a copy of warrant upon his arrival at the police station. With regard to his apparent possession of illegal drugs, there is reasonable suspicion those are his as it was seen seized beside him in plain view and not hidden elsewhere. Per RA 9165, possession of illegal drug itself is an offense.
During the conversation, you raised your voice. Was it proper?
Our raising of our voices and being prepared to draw our weapons was an attempt to confront the suspect in a less aggressive manner without the use of excessive force. When he submitted to our verbal commands, we also scaled our levels of verbal communication to a less aggressive manner.
Okay, thank you. So in this case, you demonstrated your analytical and physical problem-solving skills.
You may want to be more conscious for each other's security when working as a team, particularly when there are no guarantees of your overall safety.
The primary objective is to constantly react and analyze with a given situation. We need to analyze and react in a training scenario how to respond with a solution to a problem, which be life-threatening in real life.
Kapag natapos lang ating training at nakalabas na sa patrol, siguraduhin natin na lagi natin gagawin ng tama, lalo sa sitwasyon na buhay ang nakasalalay.
Always do the right things once confronted similar situations, but with no second chance options. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Practical case-based scenario of police commissioned officers are different from the scenario used in training of non-commissioned officer. Unlike the latter, we highlighted trainees, analytical judgment, decision-making skills, physical, personal, social communication skills, leadership on how the person reacts from a position of command. Maybe unless the scenario has the trainees as ground commander engaged in tactical police operation. But then we want to emphasize the non-tactical aspects.
Maliban ko ang senaryo ay ang trainees bilang isang ground commander na nakikibahagi sa pulisya ng isang tactical operation, pero nais namin mag-focus sa isang aspeto.
Alam niyo, gusto kong ideya ng pagkakaroon ng mga trainees ng plano na bumuo ng isang quarantine. Yung makakapagpigil ng mga nakakahawang sakit. May kaugnayan yan kagaya sa nangyayari ngayon, yung patuloy na pagkalat ng COVID-19.
Moreover, the fundamental principles on how to affect similar containment strategies are applicable not only in containing highly infectious diseases, but maybe also be used in addressing reported highly concentrated incidences, criminal activities, targeting attacks on vulnerable persons, including having humanist terrorists embedding their units with the local population. We could add that these strategies are also relevant in the event of natural calamities or some form of civil disturbances. Section 24 of Republic Act 6975, as amended, states, among others, that the Philippine National Police shall enforce all laws and ordinances relative to the protection of lives and properties, maintain peace and order, and take all necessary steps to ensure public safety. The legal basis for the police to enforce a local quarantine. But it's clear this is not in any way placing the area under police control. And given that the problem is the onslaught of the infectious disease treatment or containment thereof is not really the expertise of the police, we will want to see how the trainees incorporate the necessary involvement of the local government and non-police agencies.
Siguro magkakaroon tayo ng dalawang senaryo. The first one is where we have the trainees among themselves plan how to implement the localized quarantine. And the second one is we have the trainees, they will meet the local government to present the proposal plan.
Sa panahon ng pagpaplano, maaari tayong magkaroon ng isang non-cooperative role. At kapag ang trainees ay pumunta sa pangalawang senaryo, meron kaming mayor na hindi masyadong sangayon sa plano.
Papayag lamang ang alkalde sa plano kung ipapaliwanag ng trainees ang nakaplanong akbang. Ito ang pinakamaayos na prosesong magagamit natin upang maiwasan ang anumang argumento. Tandaan ninyong muli, mahalaga ang komunikasyon.
Remember the three elements? The trainees must show they know the legal basis for their actions, demonstrate quick, analytical, and problem-solving skills, and have a mindset to successfully engage using effective communication skills in order to win over the other side to support their position. For these two scenarios, we are less concerned with applying police operational procedures, practicing personal safety, and other tactical concerns. Conflict management and de-escalation will be in the form of the trainees presenting their ideas and having the mayor and his party agree.
Para sa unang senaryo, maaari tayong magkaroon ng isang role player na hindi naman talaga isang team player. Para naman sa pangalawang senaryo, kami gagawa ng pagpupulong sa pagpupulong ng mga trainees kasama ang municipal mayor, kasama kanyang pinagkakatiwalaang aide, at syempre, kasama ang municipal health officer. Kung naalala ninyo ang aming mga itinuro, maaari nilang hilingin ang tulong ng mga lokal na opisyal na nangangasiwa sa mga apektadong barangay. Ang mga trainees ay bubuin ng hepe ng municipal police station na inalerto sa isang direktiba upang magplano at sa kalaunan ay magsagawa ng community-based quarantine sa munisipyo upang mapigil ang walang patid na pagtaas ng local at community transmission ng mga kaso ng COVID-19. Sa una, kaya-question niya ng alkalde ang quarantine measure bilang isang lockdown na negatibong nakaka-apekto sa kanyang mga botante.
Let's require that the quarantine has to be implemented to the next day, or perhaps other scenarios as well.
We could really have several variations, but for now, let's keep the scenario not too far complex so we do not over-challenge them. We also have to contend with time limitations, so perhaps just the planning and the meeting with the local government should be sufficient for now.
Una, information references. Mayroon ba tayong kopya ng IATF guidelines? Ito ay may kinalaman sa pagpapatupad ng quarantine procedures. At DILG directives sa PNP. Ito ay may kinalaman para sa pagpapatupad ng community quarantine procedures. Inaasahan ko rin na matutukoy ng ating mga trainees ang iba pang hanay ng sanggunian at impormasyon habang pinaplano nila ang aktibidad.
Let us document the process on how we develop the case material.
Iisipin ko na kailangan namin ng isang kwarto, mga mesa, at isang upuan para sa senaryo at syempre istasyon ng pulisya at opisina ng alkalde.
First scenario, you'll have the trainees discussing plans for the proposed local quarantine. And the second scenario is at the mayor's office, where the trainees present to the mayor and his team the planned implementation of the local quarantine.
Ikaw ay isang miyembro ng Municipal Police Task Force na inutusan ng regional office na bumuo ng isang plano at magpatupad ng local quarantine. Hiniling sa iyo ng iyong hepe ng pulisya ng munisipyo na kanyang deputy at operations officer na sumali sa pulong ng pagpaplano dahil ikaw ay nakatalaga sa munisipyo sa pinakamatagal na panahon. Ang iyong pagkatao ay may kinikilingan at sa tingin mo ay mas mabuti na magpatupad na lamang ng estilong militar na diskarte. Being the police, you rather just tell the LGU that the police is exercising its police powers to maintain public safety, hence the implementation of a local quarantine. Dahil nasa ilalim ng DILG, maaaring idirekta ng alkalde na sumunod sa mga plano ng PNP. Igigiit mo ang opsyong ito at tatalikuran mo lang ang iyong posisyon. Pagkatapos, ipaliwanag ng iyong hepe ng pulisya o ng iba pang mga trainees kung bakit napakahalagang makakuha ng kooperasyon at suporta mula sa lokal na pamahalaan.
Ikaw ang mayor. Sa una, magiging mapilit ka sa pagpapaalala na meron lokal na quarantine na ipapatupad na hindi mo alam kung ano ito. Para sa iyo, ang mga quarantine measures o lockdowns ay isa lamang na mapanupil na hakbang sa paglimita ng malayang paggalaw ng mga tao. You feel this could cost you the next election as the voting population may oppose this idea. You only relax and be supportive of the plan after the police explain to you that perhaps they got the information ahead of the ILGs and the IATF's oncoming directives. Messages to you how the local quarantine is the joint responsibility of all IATF designated agencies inclusive of the ILG, the PNP, the LGUs, the DOH, and among others. And there are mechanisms to alleviate the discomfort and inconvenience of the affected population. You will want to get a starring role in the implementation of the quarantine, constantly reminding your local police that your office continues to give the latter a generous budget for operations.
You are the mayor's aide who joining the mayor in the meeting. You will suggest that barangay officials perhaps can join the meeting too.
Tapos, nagboboluntaryo ka na dapat yung mga barangay tanod, kailangan kasama sa mga pulisya sa pagpapatupad ng 24-hour quarantine. At para mas maging epektibo silang force multiplier, papayagan silang magkaroon ng baril sa sitwasyon ng mga krimen.
Ikaw ay isang medical doctor at municipal health officer na inimbitahan sa pulong. Bukod sa loob mo ang dumalo dahil ang bilang ng mga kaso ng COVID-19 sa mga barangay, which is barangay 1, 2, at 3, ay mabilis na tumataas at may positivity rate na lampas na 25%. At nagpapahiwatig na maaaring marami pang hindi na-verify na mga kaso. You deplore the lack of personnel and budget and will ask the police who you think are responsible for enforcing this local quarantine if they can assign Philippine National Police medical personnel to help you.
Gentlemen, naatasan na tayo para magpatuloy sa pagpaplano ng local granular quarantine para sa mga barangay 1, 2, 3 at maaaring higit pa sa munisipyo para mapigilan ang diniklara ng IATF. Natapos natin to sa lalong madaling panahon dahil hindi na tayo maaari pang magkita at kailangan na to agad iharap sa alkalde.
The mayor or the local government unit cannot object or disapprove our plan because we are doing it for their safety. We tell them our requirements and they provide it. We are under the DILG and the mayor can be directed to fully comply with the PNP's plan. At kung tumanggi ang alkalde, maaari natin siyang i-report sa DILG.
In the 50s, because of criminal activities, a province and Luzon was placed under control of the Philippine Constabulary. I don't think a similar option is possible anymore. The key role of the mayor is defined in the local government code, just as PNP's role is defined in the Section 24 of Republic Act of 6975. Among others, the PNP shall enforce all laws and ordinances relative to the protection of lives and properties, and maintain peace and order, and take necessary steps to ensure the safety of the public. Kaya naman naglabas ng guidelines ang local at national chapters ng Integrated Agency Task Force for Management of Infectious Diseases, na kung saan pinangungunahan to ng PNP, ngunit binubudi naman ng iba't ibang grupo.
Can we get intel regarding demographic, socio-economic, at political profiles ng hindi bababa sa 3 barangay na iyon? Maaaring kailangan nating tugunan ang economic effects on the working population affected, or the effect of reduced income of the affected families. Ang paghahatid ng ilang government services or critical services ay maaapektuhan din.
So, paano ba natin ma-implement to ng maayos? Okay? So A, identification of information to establish planning parameters. Identify task for the staff. Okay? So B, task allocation and guidance to the staff. Okay? So, meron tayong 4 rules dito. Una, intelligence, no? Info on ground situations. What motivates the people to go outside? Okay? Number 2, operations. Parameters for security support and cooperation of LGU and etc. etc. Gets nyo na yun. 3, community relations. Mechanisms to ensure community concerns are addressed. Dapat, address natin yung mga concerns ng bawat community. Okay? 4, investigation. Identification of factors to consider in the plan. And C, balik tayo, supervise the drafting of the operations, plan and order, particularly the courses of the action. D, presentation and approval of the operations plan and order. Kuha niyo ba lahat?
Okay, this is it. This ends our scenario for today. We're looking forward for the next at the Mayor's office.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mayor, magandang hapon po.
Magandang hapon naman. Mabuti at dumating na kayo. You know that I am the chief executive of this municipality, and I should know of any plan that affects the people and its municipality. As it is, I am already preoccupied with this increasing COVID-19 cases of these 3 barangays, and I'm nearing the end of my budget. Now, this proposed lockdown is just like placing the area under military control. This will restrict the free movement of my constituents, and as mayor of this municipality, I will always defend their rights to freedom of movement.
Mayor, we appreciate your position po. And we really appreciate your support to the police. You are a key player as per local government code. And we are only here as the local team of Integrated Agency Task Force to help you po manage this pandemic. At habang pinamumunuan po ito ng PNP, ay kinabibilangan din po ito ng mga subordinates and agencies ng DILG at DOH.
And sir, it is not a martial law or repressive measure. Ang pagpapatupad po ng quarantine ay scientifico na pong napatunayan na kung saan ang pamahalaan ay nilalabanan ang banta ng mabilis na pagkalat ng nakamamatay at lubhang nakakahawa na sakit. Magkakaroon din po tayo ng mga hakbang na pwede nating sama-samang gawin nang sa ganun ay matugunan po natin ang ating pangangailangan sa mga emergency, pangkabuhayan at iba pa.
Okay. I think I understand where you're coming from. You are only following orders. Ngunit para sa malinaw na mga kadahilanan, ay dapat akong maging sikat o pampublikong mukha ng quarantine na ito. Lalo na sa suporta na binibigay ng aking tanggapan sa PNP para sa pagpapanatili at pagpapatakbo nito. Sa totoo lang, meron akong mga reports na tumaas ang impeksyon sa 3 barangay. At yun ang dahilan kung bakit hiniling ko sa health officer na sumama sa amin para sa pagtitipong ito.
Your support to this activity is very vital. Na sinasabi sa aming mga ulat na ang 3 barangay, 1, 2 at 3, ang pinaka-apektado. Maaari ba natin kausapin ng mga opisyal ng barangay?
Mayor, ang mga opisyal ng 2 barangay na banggit ay papunta na. Baka pwede silang sumali sa meeting. Maaari din po natin na pakilusin ang mga barangay tanod na makiisa sa pulisya para mapatupad ang 24 hours quarantine. At para maging epektibo din ang force multipliers, maaari din na ang mga barangay tanod ay payagan na makapagdala ng mga baril para sa sitwasyon ng krimen. Maaari po ba tayong mag-issue o mag-request ng letter order sa pulisya para makapagpadala ng baril?
Sure, tatanggapin po namin ang alok na makapag-meet sa mga barangay officials ng 3 apektadong barangay. Makakatulong po sila sa amin para i-verify mga nakalat na informasyon. Para sa mula sa una, pangalawa, at mga iba pang sources. Nang sa ganon, makabuo po kami ng effective action plan. At ang PNP po, PNP Firearms and Explosives, ang may pananagutan sa pag-issue ng mga lisensya at mga nilalaman nito. Pati na rin po sa pagbibigay ng permit sa mga baril na pwedeng ilabas na tirahan. Maaari rin po namin ibigay yan sa inyo.
Ikinagagal akong dumalo at kinukumpirma ko sa inyo ang mga bilang ng kaso ng COVID-19 sa barangay 1, 2 at 3 ay mabilis na tumataas.
Na may positivity rate na lampas sa 25%
na nagpapahiwatig na maaring marami pang hindi na verifying na kaso.
at hindi kami nagtetest ng maraming residente gaya ng nararapat. Napapanahon ang pagpapatupad ng local quarantine. Ngunit ang epektibong pagpapatupad na nangangailangan ng sapat na tauhan at budget.
Maaari ba magtalaga ang PNP Regional Health Service ng ilan sa mga medical personnel nito para tumulong sa atin dahil kapos talaga tayo sa manpower?
Doc, we can only commit to what available resource available in the municipal police station, which as you know is equally stretched to the limit. However, other than forwarding your concern to our regional office, we will try to alert the upper level of IATF to see what kind of support they can give us to augment your present resource levels.
Okay, that ends our exercise. Thanks to all. Tapos na
Thank you,
ang
sir.
case-based scenario.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you for the exercise. Clearly, you demonstrated all the things that you learned during your lectures, both physical and safety protocols taught by our instructors. By the way, I have some comments with your performance.
During the planning discussions, why can't you just complete the operational plan and immediately process the implementation?
The imposition of a local lockdown or quarantine is very similar to police response during a national calamity, like earthquakes, typhoons, tsunamis, serious crime, or security threats to community, or in the event of a national, regional, local health emergency like the COVID-19 pandemic are not wholly crime prevention, crime management, or crime solution measures. National laws, including the local government code, are specific as to the role of the civilian government in getting this underway. The PNP is required to consult with the civilian government officials in supporting the former in undertaking rescue, recovery, and rehabilitation efforts. In this case, responding to a health emergency brought about by increasing COVID-19 infections in the municipality.
Will enforcing a quarantine curtail rights of person affected? Is this justified? So why do you say this is not a repressive, but only a preventive measure?
A quarantine, at a certain extent, curtails the rights of the residents to move freely. It is not meant to be a repressive action, but instead, this is a preventive measure to address community transmission of an infectious disease. The measure, which is scientifically accepted and government-sanctioned preventive or containment mechanism in response to the threat of an infectious disease of local or community-level transmission proportions, is a proportionate response justifiable by law. The plan includes provisions for handling emergencies, income, livelihood, and medical-related.
So why were the following parameters important, such as intelligence, operations, community relations, investigation necessary in your discussion? Aren't these elements only for crime prevention, crime management, and crime solutions?
Investigation, operations, and community relations comprise the PNP squad concept in addressing crime prevention, crime management, and crime solution concerns. Planning for and implementing a local quarantine to contain COVID-19 infections is more in response to a medical emergency than an emerging or ongoing crime wave.
Why was it necessary to involve the mayor and the local government unit in the planned quarantine? Won't that present a problem?
By law, DILG directives and IATF guidelines, the local chief executives are responsible of administering localized quarantine schemes with the participation of the PNP. The national government also channels the budget to support the local government's efforts, including the providing the social ameliorations programs, financial assistance to affected residents, and these can only be effective as these are synchronized with the local police efforts to help enforce the quarantine. Not consulting with nor involving the local executives will lead to more problems. Part of our tasking is to know how to deal with their unique traits, biases, and political agenda.
Okay, thank you again. So in this case, you demonstrated your analytical and physical problem-solving skills. You were aware of the legal basis for your actions and applied the personal and social communication techniques to get your points across, resolve differences, and achieve workable compromises without prejudice to your task.
The primary objective of this scenario is to constantly exercise and train their mind too. In a couple of minutes or maybe seconds, we're about to analyze and react to a particular training scenario that will respond on how we gave a solution to a particular problem.
As we move upwards in the organizations, we will find ourselves constantly engaged in time-bound, problem-solving activities, and based on what we have learned over time, decide on our course of actions and hopefully doing the right thing. Thank you.